are emerging that a rift is widening amid growing tension between Prince Harry and King Charles.
Harry and Meghan thought the 2026 FIFA World Cup would be their perfect stage for a comeback, but according to explosive claims circulating around royal watchers and commentators, the biggest sporting event on earth may have delivered a message so humiliating that it left the Sussexes staring at a closed door while the entire world rushed inside. And if the rumors are true, the reason behind it all leads back to one damaged friendship, one powerful football icon, and a royal rivalry that refuses to die. The timing could not have been worse. The 2026 FIFA World Cup arrived with enormous excitement. Millions of football fans were preparing for a month-long celebration across the United States. Cameras were everywhere. Celebrities were everywhere. Global attention was everywhere. And for a couple whose public image has often depended on visibility, this should have been a dream scenario. Living in America while the world's biggest sporting tournament unfolded practically in their backyard seemed like the perfect opportunity to remind people they still mattered on the international stage. But then came the whispers. Then came the reports. Then came the claims that Harry and Meghan were not welcome in the way many expected. Suddenly, what should have been a golden opportunity allegedly transformed into an embarrassing rejection. Instead of becoming part of the spectacle, they found themselves watching from the sidelines while football's biggest names stepped into the spotlight. And observers immediately started asking the same question. What happened? How did a prince who once seemed welcome everywhere allegedly become someone major organizations preferred to avoid? The answer may lie in the extraordinary transformation of Prince Harry's public image over the last several years. There was once a time when Harry was almost impossible to dislike. He was often called the Happy Prince. Crowds loved him. Media outlets adored him. Organizations competed for the chance to host him. His presence alone generated positive headlines, whether it was military events, charity appearances, sporting occasions, or international gatherings. Harry seemed to possess a unique ability to connect with people. Back then, invitations arrived effortlessly. Doors opened automatically. People wanted him there. But critics argued that version of Harry feels like a distant memory now. Somewhere along the way, the narrative changed. The headlines became more controversial. The family disputes became more public. The interviews became more explosive. And suddenly, some organizations reportedly started viewing his presence differently. Instead of bringing attention to an event, critics claimed he increasingly became the event itself. The controversy followed him. The drama followed him. The questions followed him, and major brands hate uncertainty. Yet, while Harry allegedly found himself drifting further away from football's inner circle, another famous figure seemed to be moving even closer: David Beckham. The contrast could hardly be more dramatic. One man appeared to be losing influence, the other appeared to be gaining it. David Beckham is more than a retired football player. He is football royalty. Decades after his playing career reached its peak, his influence remains enormous. He moves comfortably among athletes, celebrities, politicians, business leaders, and royal figures. Wherever football goes, Beckham is rarely far behind, and recently that influence appears stronger than ever. While Harry allegedly struggled to secure relevance within football circles, Beckham continued collecting honors, recognition, and prestige. His reputation remained intact, his connections expanded, his importance grew, which naturally leads to an uncomfortable question. If football had to choose between Beckham and Harry, was there ever really a choice? Observers increasingly began noticing a pattern. Sporting organizations thrive on positive publicity. They want excitement. They want celebration. They want inspiring stories. What they do not want is controversy overshadowing the event itself. And critics argue that this reality may explain why Harry allegedly found himself pushed further away from football's biggest stage. Because the issue wasn't simply exclusion. The issue was the reason behind the exclusion. And according to many royal commentators, that reason points directly toward David Beckham. The deeper people looked into the situation, the more one uncomfortable detail kept resurfacing. Harry's relationship with Beckham reportedly deteriorated years ago, not because of football, not because of business, because of trust. And once trust breaks, rebuilding it can be almost impossible. Meanwhile, another royal relationship was quietly becoming stronger. Prince William and David Beckham appeared increasingly aligned. Public appearances, charitable initiatives, shared causes, similar social circles, every year seemed to bring them closer together. Imagine Harry watching that unfold. Imagine seeing someone who was once considered a friend now standing comfortably beside your brother. Imagine realizing that football's most influential ambassador appears more connected than ever to the future king. For Harry, critics say that contrast must be impossible to ignore. And if William chooses to attend World Cup events, the symbolism becomes even more striking. Cameras capturing William and Beckham together. Headlines celebrating their friendship, crowds cheering, while Harry remains outside the picture. That possibility alone has fueled endless speculation about what really happened behind closed doors. Because this story isn't simply about football anymore, it is about loyalty, influence, reputation, and the consequences of relationships that fall apart in spectacular fashion. The most fascinating part of this mystery is that the Beckhams were not always seen as allies of Prince William. There was a time when David and Victoria Beckham appeared remarkably close to Harry and Meghan. They attended major events together. They shared social circles. They moved through the same glamorous world. To many observers, they looked like natural allies. The friendship did not collapse overnight, according to reports and commentators. The turning point came when suspicion started spreading behind the scenes. Allegations emerged that Meghan believed stories about her and Harry were somehow finding their way into the press. And in one of the most explosive claims connected to the fallout, fingers reportedly pointed toward Victoria Beckham. Whether those suspicions were justified or completely mistaken almost became irrelevant because the damage was already being done. The moment accusations enter a friendship, everything changes. Every conversation becomes uncomfortable. Every interaction becomes cautious. Every smile starts looking forced. And according to those familiar with the situation, Harry eventually approached David Beckham regarding the issue. What followed reportedly left Beckham furious. From that moment onward, a friendship that once looked solid suddenly appeared to be hanging by a thread. For outsiders, the situation seemed unbelievable. These were two couples who had once moved in the same glamorous circles. The Beckhams attended Harry and Meghan's wedding. They publicly appeared supportive. They seemed connected by status, celebrity, and influence. Yet behind the polished photographs and public smiles, tensions were allegedly growing. Trust, once broken, rarely returns in its original form. And as months passed, observers began noticing increasing distance between the two families. The warmth disappeared. The public support faded. The closeness vanished. What remained was an uncomfortable silence that seemed to speak louder than words. Then another incident reportedly pushed the relationship even closer to collapse. During a visit to Australia, David Beckham allegedly expected to meet Harry regarding football-related matters. The meeting reportedly never happened. Accounts claim Beckham traveled expecting the encounter, only to be disappointed when Harry allegedly did not make time for him. To critics, it looked disrespectful. To supporters, there may have been explanations nobody knew about. But perception often matters more than reality, and perception was becoming increasingly damaging. The story spread. Questions multiplied. The friendship appeared beyond repair. Once again, another bridge seemed to have been burned. As Harry's relationship with Beckham reportedly deteriorated, something else was happening simultaneously. Beckham's connection with Prince William appeared stronger than ever. The symbolism became impossible to ignore. William and Beckham increasingly appeared aligned through charitable initiatives, public appearances, and shared causes. Victoria Beckham's fashion designs regularly found visibility through Princess Catherine. Their social circles overlapped comfortably. Their public images complemented one another. Every new appearance seemed to reinforce the same message. Beckham had found his preferred royal connection, and it was no longer Harry. That is where this story becomes particularly painful for royal watchers, because what makes an exclusion hurt most is not merely being left out. It is watching someone else take your place. Critics argue that this is exactly what happened. The role Harry once occupied as a globally admired royal figure increasingly appears occupied by William. The attention, the respect, the influence, the invitations. Piece by piece, many observers believe the balance has shifted. While William's standing continued to rise, Harry's reputation became tangled in controversies, interviews, memoirs, family disputes, and endless public battles. So when reports emerged suggesting Harry was effectively on the outside of football's biggest celebration, many commentators saw something much larger than a sports story. They saw a symbol of how dramatically public fortunes can change, a symbol of friendships lost, alliances reshaped, and influence redistributed. Years ago, people might have expected Harry to be sitting beside global football icons such as Beckham, surrounded by cameras and VIP guests. Today, according to critics, that expectation no longer exists.